crypto market throws an incredible risk-on and risk-off signal for the main markets as well. But what we need is a daily action plan to just determine, is price coming down, is price going up? How is price likely to move in the coming 24 hours? To do that, we need to put an action plan together that includes the latest news, market sentiment shifts, and most importantly, structural support and resistance levels. If you're looking for the fastest way to put your action plan together for the next 24 hours, this is the channel you want to be subscribed to. Let's get into it and let's run the numbers. Hi everyone, I'm Ken from CryptoTradingKS and the CTKS method. If you're new, a very warm welcome and welcome back CTKS family. Your daily action plan for today must understand rate cuts. And there's a little bit more to it than that. All the central banks around the world are starting to just meet up and decide what their monetary policy is going to be all about. In fact, 40% of all central banks make their decisions this week. It's going to be volatile as well, of course, as the Fed. Your daily action plan has to understand how things are moving inside the economic system, and we can see that core PCE change, basically inflation, it's starting to bottom out and it's potentially coming up, as well as the unemployment rate. Now, what is the Fed going to do with rates? Is it going to cut? Is it going to do nothing? Or is it going to raise them? CTKS traders are like the Delta Force and SEAL Team 6 of financial markets. We are elite. We also get incredible data from the source. We know there's a 96.4% probability of a 25 basis point decrease, only a 3.6% probability of a 50 basis point decrease. We don't have to read the financial press. We know from the source what the institutions also know. We also know what to look at and what to look for. When we look at the stock market fear and greed index, it's currently neutral and starting to go towards greed. This is a very good sign because it's been pretty lackluster of late. When we see the greed picking up inside the market, we anticipate and expect higher prices. On the closing of Friday's session in the US, we saw a very moderate decrease, 0.05 decrease across all sectors. The best sector, consumer discretionary; the worst sector, healthcare. For your daily action plan, what the main markets do is really important. And looking into the main market on Friday's session, Microsoft was up, Apple was up, Tesla went absolutely nuts. Meta a little bit up, and you can see healthcare, medical, they all got whacked. Building also got whacked. Part of your daily action plan is to look at the futures, understand what the pressure is on the markets. Are we seeing the indices getting positive pressure and momentum? That is good, that's what we want. Or are we seeing the precious metals like a flight to safety get the positive momentum? That is not so good. Right now, we can see very moderate futures positive direction and the metals a little bit negative. And if you're looking at the structure of silver, you know that silver hit its head on CTKS structure, quite a whack of it. ETF flows are quite important to look at as well. And when we look at gold ETF net flows, we can see that gold is getting supported really well. Understanding how all the markets move together as one is really important, and the crypto market is especially important to keep your eye on. Even if you're not trading or investing in any crypto, Bitcoin will throw an incredible risk-on or risk-off signal. We can see the crypto fear and greed index is currently neutral, and we are basing, ready for a turnaround. Just remember, when the Fed cuts rates and big economic decisions are made, markets get really volatile to the up and also down directions. Part of your daily action plan could be to actually make sure that you don't get flicked out of the market because of emotion. On YouTube, if you go to @CTKS Method and you search, you'll come up with this channel. Go to the playlist and make sure that you subscribe, and then go down to this trading and investing mindset. This music is phenomenal. It is literally decades and decades and decades of wisdom to really good beaty songs. Now, why should you listen to a song? Well, just think about it this way. If you want to train your mind away from fear into courage, this is a good way to go. And you'll need to do it to get consistently profitable. Of course, you don't have to listen to these songs to do it, but they are superb. They will tell you insights into the market you will not find anywhere else. High impact economic data releases are very important to track the timing of, because when they occur, they can whipsaw the market. Coming out on Monday, September the 15th, and this is Aussie time, the Empire State Manufacturing Index. On Tuesday, core retail sales. On Thursday, this is the one, when the FOMC comes out and it cuts rates by 25 basis points, and that's what's forecasted to occur right here. 0.25% is 25 basis points. Just anticipate a lot of volatility up to and including and after this event. As elite traders and investors, we make sure that we look broadly across the market. Newbie traders and investors only look at the chart that they're putting money into. They cannot stack probabilities, they cannot determine where the markets are starting to change because they're simply not looking. They're looking at one chart. This is a very big mistake, but unfortunately what people are taught to do on social media. Institutional players would never think this way. As part of your daily action plan, understanding the percentage change in the past 24 hours is a really good idea. Try to understand which particular coins are moving the most. Your volatility is your profitability, but it's also your risk. Many people think that price movements are completely random. That is completely false. Price movements are structurally bound, always have been, always will be. We can see over the past 24 hours, there's not a great number of really high percentage gainers in the market at the current time. What about the 24-hour losers? Well, there's a couple, but it's really moderate. Looking into the heat map can give you a bit of an idea as to how different sectors are performing. So with this in mind, we can see that there's a degree of negative pressure inside the markets currently. This is where most people stop, and this is where we start. We are elite. Looking at the underpinning flows of the ETFs in the crypto space is a really good idea, and we can see the flows have currently been positive in terms of the Bitcoin spot ETFs. Ethereum spot ETFs have also been positive, but only in the past 4 days. ETH is just starting to turn around. September is typically the weakest of months inside the stock market and typically inside crypto, but we've seen something different. September Bitcoin is up 6.7% currently. And when it comes to Ethereum, in September, ETH is up 5.1%. As a part of your daily plan, just make sure that you understand how the liquidations are moving. Inside the markets, we've had $265.53 million worth of liquidations, the vast majority being long. This is responsible for the downward movements in price. When a long liquidation occurs, they have to cover by selling. That puts sell pressure into the market, literally at market. But we have our elite methodology. We don't trade and invest just based from a price. We do it based on the world's most powerful structural levels. We mark up our charts with 2 levels of standard certification, level 1 and level 2. The dashed lines that you're about to see are formed through this certification. Bitcoin is like the VIX on the main markets, but it's the VIX across all markets. It's incredibly important to look at. But where is the structure in all of this? Retail needs price to print before structure can be observed. In the CTKS method, through those 2 levels of standard certification, we already know where the structure is. Let me just pop on the structural indicator for you. So we can see that price has been just hovering around this 115,757 mark. This is the key line in the sand that you need to keep your eyes on. Bitcoin is currently 115,934 at the time of this recording. Price always moves structurally. If it can't get above a level of structure, it's coming back to retest it. If it does a structural failure there, its negative structural attraction is to the level of structure below. If it passes that and does a structural pass, it has positive structural attraction to the level above. If the sellers are too strong, you get what are called negative gaps, negative air gaps, and that indicates structural failure ahead of time. The key thing to always understand is in what direction is price going. We know from our daily scan, our daily action plan, that things are looking pretty good. With the expectation of cutting rates, we're going to see injections of funds into the market. But don't automatically assume that means that everything will just rip higher. It could, but it depends on structure. If we can't get above this 116,236 level, we're going to just consolidate. Or if we lose this 115,757, that creates negative structural attraction down to the 114,882. Price moves from structural level to structural level. You can see it all the time, and the CTKS method gives you advanced leading indicators of price. You know exactly where the algorithms and smart money are going to come in and buy or going to come in and sell. Knowing where the structural levels are is absolutely critical when we look at Ethereum. If you don't know the structure, you're just literally guessing. For example, Ethereum is currently 4626 at the time of this recording. We saw this 4586 level of structure get obeyed. We understand the role of structure. When we get sell downs, it's going to structural levels. If we get so much panic inside the market, it is likely to structurally overshoot and go to at least 2 or 3 levels down. And that's how we understand this. We also understand if it starts to turn around and starts to do structural passes, it's going to the level above. If it does a structural pass there, it's going to the level above that. So always just bear in mind, price is always moving between structure to structure all the time. Elite CTKS traders know that we don't have to make big percentages to make big percentages. We can literally buy and sell in between these different levels and bank a fortune. With artificial intelligence and robotics just planning to take out the majority of the workforce, it's really important that you have the skill to trade. The skill to invest is the skill to hang on. The skill to trade is the skill to make money in any market condition. When we look at Ethereum, which is currently 4624, it's coming into this structural support area of 4619. The two levels that you need to keep your eye on for ETH. The bullish case opens up at 4651 plus. The bearish case opens up at 4586 and below. When looking at a chart, part of your action plan is to always understand where the structure is. For example, looking at DOGE, we can see all of this up and down price action. But up and down price action is controlled through intercorrelation and interconnection as well as structure. A lot of people think that this must be a level of structure here, and they confuse all of price structure with recent indicative price structure. RIP structure is not structure. It is just recent price. And getting your structure from recent price is very dangerous because it's not the actual structure of the chart that you're looking at. When you look at DOGE, which is currently 28,190, we have structural overhead resistance at 28,559 and structural support at 27,776. What we can notice here is bearish cases open up if we underside retest that 2776 and come down. But bullish price action is there on the cards by bypassing 28,559. Part of your daily action plan is to know where the bullish and bearish levels of structure are. We know the price is always moving in a wave. If price gets weak, it needs more and more structure underneath it to catch it. If you're trading and investing inside financial markets, knowing where the structure is wildly important. Let's have a look into XRP. XRP, just looking through 2 levels of standard certification, we can see that XRP came up to this 318.13 mark, tried to get above it, structural failure, structural failure, structural failure. The lower immediate level at 316.04 was once supported but then structurally failed. At this point, this puts this particular line at 304.52 into play. Elite CTKS traders know how powerful negative CTKS gaps are, as well as positive gaps. Now, if you were just looking at this through recent indicative price, you would think there was structure inside this chart that actually doesn't exist, and you would not be able to target the level the price was actually coming back to. Now, what we see inside XRP's price is pretty damn interesting, and this is something that you would want to put on your radar. We can see that now we have a positive CTKS gap. We could fill this positive CTKS gap if we get structural passes, and we're getting pretty close to getting one. It's not in yet, but it's looking really good. If we get a structural pass, that throws the 318.13 level onto the charts as a target. Now, always remember, we must just deal with price reality. If we're getting a lot of economic shocks in, that's going to make price move around all over the place. This is not something to be feared, this is something to understand. In order to move from fear into confidence and to profit in any market condition, we have to move away from buying on green, selling on red. Now, why is this important? When you buy on green, the reason you do so is it because that you get more and more confident as price comes up. So typically people buy just around here, and then it may go up a little bit further, and then it starts to correct down. Now, when we buy not on green, but when we buy on red, we understand where the structure is. Think back to the XRP chart. We're not using recent indicative price structure because it's not structure, it's a fantasy. Instead, we're looking at the bricks and mortar of the chart through CTKS structure. We leave emotion behind. There's huge amounts of money flowing into the market and out of the market, into the market, out of the market, into the market. So when you actually move away from this into buying on red and selling on green with a knowledge of CTKS structure, focusing on the signals, knowing the market pulse, remaining calm and patient and balanced, and knowing how price reality is the only reality and all stacking of probabilities will make you rich. That will lead into you being able to buy on red. Just don't buy on red blindly. Buy on red with an understanding of structure and price reality. In the past video, there was some fantastic comments on price discovery. We have an absolutely awesome global family. And I'd like to thank you for being here and sharing this time together. Always make sure that you keep your mindset really positive. It's important because if your mindset is not positive, you will just be afraid to get into the markets. Please let me know in the comments, how do you deal with life pullbacks inside the market? For example, when things don't go your way, you were expecting things to go up and they suddenly went down, and boy oh boy did they go down. How do you deal with that? These life pullbacks from a trading and investing standpoint are very important to cope with. What are your coping strategies? By sharing your wisdom and your experiences, you help other people. And that's what we're about as a global family. And if you're finding that you're getting shell-shocked from the market, just descale, just scale down. So if your position size is too great, don't worry, you can just build your muscle up to a larger position size later. And keep on doing your daily action plan. Your daily action plan will really help you out, and know the universe wants you to succeed. So every day you can show kindness, integrity, and gratitude. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday, life is always resetting, wiping the slate clean, and giving you more opportunities to shine. Have a great day or night ahead, my friends, and Kate and I look forward to catching up with you again in the next video. Bye for now.